100 plus subscribers and my expectations for the 2023 North Carolina Tar Heels this football season. Let's talk about it. Huddle up.
You don't want none! You don't want none!
Ready, break! What's going on, Tar Heel Nation? It's your guy, Russ, and welcome to the Tar Heel Huddle, where we discuss all things North Carolina football and basketball. And first and foremost, like I said, I just want to thank everyone who has liked, shared, and subscribed to this YouTube channel. We started this thing about 2 months ago, and it's taken a little bit of time to pick up some steam. But I am greatly appreciative of everybody that has subscribed to the channel and comes back and watches the content. I'm trying to do the best that I can as far as making this a good voice for the North Carolina fan base. And I want it to eventually become a place where all North Carolina Tar Heels can come and discuss mainly the football and basketball programs, the trajectory, players, coaches, just what we feel about the programs in general. So, thank you so much, man. If you know any Tar Heels that are out there that haven't heard of the Tar Heel Huddle yet, please, by all means, share this content with them and let them make their own decision if they'd be interested or not. But for the 100 plus that have subscribed, thank you so much once again. And hopefully we can grow this thing and it can just be a big voice to represent the North Carolina Tar Heels well amongst the other college fan bases. So what are my 2023 expectations for the fighting footballers of North Carolina? Well, it starts with just that, fight. That is what I want to see from this team. Now, this may seem very silly to some people, but as a self-professed connoisseur, if you will, of North Carolina football and basketball fandom, it's been a lacking element for the UNC Tar Heels, especially the defense, since 2009, 2010, and unfortunately that season was derailed before it even had a chance to get started. That's for another video. But I am personally sick and tired of the moniker that is constantly attributed to the UNC football program of being soft, no heart, bend don't break. He made a business decision. I can't stinking stand it. It just makes me stinking sick to my stomach when people talk about that from other fan bases. And I'm ready to shake that moniker. I'm ready for these guys to stinking put up or shut up like we should have been doing from the time we got here, like what was promised to us when Coach Mack Brown was hired. Now listen, I am a huge Mack Brown fan. I am super appreciative for everything that he's done for the North Carolina Tar Heels, for what he did back in the mid to late 90s before he left, and for what he's attempting to do here. But it's season 5. It is the 5th season. You have your coaching staff. You have your recruits. This football program is Mack Brown. That's what it is. And it will go as far as Mack Brown has orchestrated it to go. We have the pieces, man. We definitely have the pieces. But it's time to put up or shut up. And this is the year, 2023, where we should expect greatness, okay? Now, people say, well, what is your expectation for greatness? This is North Carolina football. My expectation is exactly what was promised to us in 2018. The University of North Carolina is one of the best-known brands in all of college sports, period. When you turn on that television and you see that Carolina blue, you know exactly who you're watching. And Mack Brown said in 2018 that when he came back, he had unfinished business because we were up there at that top 10 echelon, finishing number 6 in the nation. That kind of program is what he created, and then he left for Texas. And he came back to finish some unfinished business. Now, as much respect as I have for Coach Brown and all of his Hall of Fame accomplishments, 9 wins is not good enough. It's not. It's not acceptable. I'll tell you why it's not acceptable. Because we were promised more. We were promised that we would be competing for championships. ACC championships, NCAA championships. And you have what you need in place in order to do that. Now, before I go into why I think that it's time to put up or shut up, I want to talk about the recruiting rankings that are on this starting roster, if you will. We're not going to go into the too deep because that would just take too much time. But I want to give you a little bit about this defense that allowed 30-plus points a game last year, that finished towards the bottom of the NCAA last year. You got nose guard Travis Shaw, former 5-star, the second highest UNC recruit in the internet era with a composite rating of .9972. You got Miles Murphy at the 3-tech, 4-star, number 117th player in the entire country in his class. Javari Ritzy, 4-star, number 138 player in the entire country in his class. You got Des Evans, 4-star / 5-star, depending on which one you look at, the number 93 player in his entire class. This front 4, whatever defensive front that they're in, it is laden with talent. There is no reason why we should get pushed around by anybody. Do you know what separates the North Carolina Tar Heels from the Alabama Crimson Tide, from the Georgia Bulldogs, from the Clemson Tigers? I'm going to tell you what separates them. I know because I see it. I know because I played football. I know what they're missing. They're missing the mentality to dominate. That's what these other programs have. They have athletes. This is what they do. And they don't accept anything less, and they go out there to dominate the man in front of them. And anything less than that is unacceptable. And that is the mentality that the Heels had back in the mid-90s before Mack Brown left. And that's the mentality that we should demand from them as a coaching staff and as a fan base. Now, I love these kids. They represent my university. They represent my state, and I am extremely thankful for that. But it's time for them to stand up and represent us well. They have the talent. They have the bodies. They have everything that they need to be successful. In 2023, there is nobody that should push us around with the talent that we have in that front 3, front 4. No one. So you ask me, what are my expectations for the defensive line? I'll tell you exactly what it is. Pressure. Setting the edge, keeping those stinking offensive linemen off of our linebackers. That's what I expect. I expect them to be mean. I expect them to be physical. I expect them to be nasty. Obviously, in a sportsmanlike way. They should dominate. I expect for them to live up to their rankings. This should be a top 10 defensive line. That's what it should be. What has been brought together with the likes of Kamen Rucker at the Jack and Amari Gaynor and just the too deep on this roster, it should be a top 10 defensive line. They should be wrecking, stinking havoc in the backfield of every opponent we play this year. There is no more excuses, period. Now, let's get to the second level. Not going to have much of a gripe from me on this one. You got Power Eccles, former 4-star, number 161 player in the nation as a prospect, according to 247 Sports in his class. And then you got Cedric Gray, who was the 3-star linebacker out of Charlotte, but the kid made the All-ACC team last year. He's preseason All-ACC this year, and he's been nominated as a second-team All-American this year. You have one of the best 2 linebacking cores in the conference, and you arguably have one of the best linebacking cores in the defense that Carolina runs in the entire nation. All these guys need is for the defensive line to keep these offensive linemen off of their face so that they can strafe and make plays and they are going to stink and rake, man. They are going to make plays. That's what I expect of them. I expect for us, when we dial up packages for them to blitz, you've seen what Power Eccles is capable of doing. Slicing in there and just wrecking havoc because he's an absolute stinking athlete. He's a little undersized for his position, but where he's undersized, he makes up for because he's so freaking athletic, man. We need these guys to cause some stinking havoc. I want these jokers to fill the hole. I want to see these dudes strafing the line of scrimmage and running down backs trying to get to the outside. I want these running backs to be terrified to cut it up inside when these defensive ends are setting the edge. I want them to be with their head on a swivel, looking for power, looking for Cedric, knowing that they're coming backside and that they're about to stink and lay the wood. That's what I want to see. That's the mentality that we should expect as a coaching staff, and the mentality that we should expect as a fan base. There is no one that should be able to say, man, them boys are soft up there in Carolina. No one. That is old, it's outdated, and it's time for us to stink and make people eat their stinking words. This is Carolina football. What we were known for in the 90s was a strong, ferocious defense. What we were known for in the 90s was the Rude Boys, the no-fly zone. Let's get into the secondary. So you got Marcus Allen, high 3-star, number 464 player in the nation with a comp rating of 88.59. You got Elijah Huzzie, who was the number 155 overall transfer, and everybody is saying that this guy is a stinking NFL cornerback. You actually got guys now, and no disrespect to Duck and Grimes, but they just didn't get it done last year. We have what should be better corners. You got Tayon Holloway, who was a former 4-star, the number 206 player in the nation with a comp rating of 91.92, out there as your 3 corners, your 3 main cornerbacks. We should be better. You say, what do you expect from the corners, Russ? This is what I expect. I expect for you to get in their face. I expect for you to put your foot in the ground and dig into the route, and I expect you to make plays on the football. That's what I expect of you. I expect of you to have confidence in your safeties to cover over the top, which is, we'll get to that in a second, and I expect you to be able to be aggressive playing the football and create turnovers. That's what I expect. That's how good that these guys are supposed to be. That's how good they can be, and that is what we should expect as a coach, a coaching staff, and as a fan base. Nothing more, nothing less. Make stinking plays on the football. The safeties, the ones that I'm going to cover right now, we don't know if Will Hardy is going to play. You still got Stick Lane back there who's hurt. We got a little safety injuries going into the season. This is going to be interesting to see who actually starts at the safety position. But right now I got penciled in Giovanni Biggers, who is a 3-star grad transfer. So this is an older guy. Okay, this is a guy who's been in the system for a while, the number 689 player in the nation in his class, but he's been there for a while. This is an older guy, okay? Where he lacks in maybe skill per se, he makes up for in wisdom from being in the program for a while. Hopefully Will Hardy will be back because Will Hardy is another heady football player. What do I expect from these safeties? Don't get beat over the top. That's what I expect from these safeties. I expect you to have your eyes in the right place, to not cheat, and keep your eyes in the backfield, okay? I expect for you to not get beat deep. That's what these corners need for you to do so that they can stick and move on these footballs and make plays. That's what they need. They need confidence that you got them over the top. That's what I expect. I expect them to be aggressive. I expect them to stick their foot in the ground on breaks and make plays. That is what we should expect from this defense. There's no more excuses. None. We have the talent. We have the talent to be a serviceable, good defense. We have the talent that could possibly be a top 25 defense. And it's time for these boys to earn the respect back for the rest of the nation. They can be good. What separates them from Alabama and Georgia and Clemson? Yeah, a couple of stars. Okay, I'm not going to dispute that. But this is a good defense when you look at it on paper. What separates them is the mentality. The you're not going to score on me mentality. It's not acceptable for you to beat me across the line of scrimmage mentality. That is what I expect. Now, so I don't want to hear any more excuses. I don't want to hear, well, last year we gave up 32 points a game. This year we only gave up 28. Unacceptable. I don't care what offenses are running against us. I don't care the scope of college football and, oh, this is the norm and, now people are... I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. That's why you have 5 defensive backs on the field, okay? All I want to hear is, hey, we improved this defense and now it's serviceable and we don't have to worry about the defense giving up 30-something points a game, 25-something points a game. There needs to be games where they hold it down, man, where they stinking hold it down. It's time for these kids to have the same mentality that the Hills had back in 96, 97. I want to see these boys hunt. That's what I expect as a fan of the Tar Heels this year. So we'll flip it over, something a little bit more light, if you will. My expectations for the offense, they're very simple. Due to the apparent lackluster play that we're getting from the offensive line, okay, I expect Chip Lindsey to move the pocket, to get the ball out of Drake's hands as quickly as possible, to get your playmakers in space so that they can get the football and make plays up the field. That's what I expect from this offense. I expect less RPOs because I don't want Drake May taking a bunch of hits from an offensive line that, from all intents and purposes, and what I've been hearing coming out of camp is, we don't know if these guys are going to be able to block for Drake, for the running backs. Now, it may just be that that defensive line is actually doing what they are supposed to do from the beginning. I mean, they are laden with talent, but it also could be a deeper, darker thing. And that's why we have to prepare for the worst. And I'm not just talking about, getting them out on the bubble screen and everything that's outside. I'm talking about getting the ball out quick. Sometimes dumping it off to a running back. British Brooks is good in the open field. He's real good at waiting on his blockers, right? Get George Pettaway. George Pettaway is fantastic in the open field. If they want to pin their ears back and come after Drake because they don't respect our run game, hey, real quick, draw them in right over the top. Get George the football. I like it. We didn't do any of that last year. That's what we need to do this year. That's what I expect. Get the football out of Drake's hands. And I want to see 2+1. I want to see this running back room come to fruition like Coach Mack Brown said. I want to see you find 2 running backs and then +1 that are going to get all of the carries. I don't want to see 8, 9 carries for 5 different guys. 2 guys that set themselves apart and give them the stinking carries, right? Omarion Hampton, Caleb Hood, British Brooks, George Pettaway. I don't care who it is. We got to let these guys get into the groove of the game. As a former individual who got carries, I played a little running back in JV and some of my varsity, first couple years in varsity before I moved out to the slot. I can tell you that you got to get into the groove of the game, man. It takes a couple of carries to really kind of hit it. So, I don't want to see 5, 6 guys splitting 24 carries. They're not going to get hot, and it's hard to think and get into the groove like that. So what do I expect? I expect for you to find 2 good running backs, 2 running backs that are going to block for Drake, 2 running backs that are going to hit the hole, 2 running backs that have good vision, and 2 running backs that are going to get more yards than what the offensive line is blocking for them. That's what I expect. Now, all that to say this, 8 wins and a trip to the Orange Bowl in year 2, that was super cool, dude. Hey, no complaints. Second year, Orange Bowl bid, we kind of got some help in that. But then what happens after that? A horrible 2021. When, we're starting the season number 10 in the nation, and it just didn't come to fruition like we thought it was. Actually ended up with a below 500 record. And then even last year, what happened? Won a bunch of close football games, and then we folded down the stretch, losing 4 straight. And obviously the last 2 were the quality opponents. Okay? 9 wins this year, unacceptable. 10 wins, 11 wins, This team should be right in the thick of things for the ACC championship at the end of the year. Anything less than that would be a failure. That's just my personal opinion. If you're content with 8, 9, 10 wins, I'm just going to be completely honest with you. That's not what we were promised. So we get to the end of the season and we're 8-4. And, we're going to a bowl game. Let's just say we're going to, another comparable bowl like the Orange Bowl. And you say, well, look at what we've done. We haven't done this the first 2 times. Unacceptable. That's not what we were promised. We were promised, hey, we're going to compete for ACC championships, and we're also going to stink and compete for national championships. And if we don't do it this year, Tar Heel Nation, when are we going to do it? We got Drake stinking May. We got 4 and 5 stars all over the stinking roster. Those 3 top 15 recruiting classes, the seniors this year, that's the first ones. So we have all these guys in place. If we don't do it this year with Drake May right here, right now, when are we going to do it? When are we going to do it? That's a legitimate question that you got to ask yourself. This is the year where we have no more excuses, period. So, what are my expectations for the Heels? Like I said, I want that stinking defense to hunt. Offense, I want to see these playmakers get the ball in open space out of Drake's hands quickly. I think that's going to be our best method unless in the next 2 weeks, that offensive line drastically improves and all of a sudden, they're being able to keep him in the pocket and give him ample amount of time to find guys down the field. And we still don't know if Tez Walker is going to play. And then what is my final expectation for this team? It's to win 11, 12, 13 games. That is the expectation. That is my personal expectation. Why again? Because that's what we were promised. Hey, eventually, man, you got to put your foot down and say, this is what you told me. And if we're not going to do it this year, there's no way you're going to be able to convince me that once Drake leaves, that 2024 is the year. You're not going to be able to convince me that. So 2023, literally, it's championships or bust. What's it going to be? So that's what Russ thinks about the 2023 season. I'm excited. I'll be the first one to tell you, man, I think that this team, like I've said in other videos, this team can do great stinking things this year. But if they don't, it will be a huge letdown. And you, as a fan base, should not just be accepting of that because we were promised greatness. Let me know what you think down in the comments section. And if you haven't already, please like, share, subscribe to this content. Hey, this is from the heart. This is just a diehard Tar Heel football fan from the heart. I want these guys to be great. I think that they can be great. It's time for them to show us that they are as great as we know they can be. Like, share, subscribe, comment in the comment section. We will see you on the next one, Tar Heel Nation.